Well, here we are back on a Saturday morning, the 100 Watts and Wire podcast. We are doing a Saturday live stream. Yep, it is a community live stream, and I've got the candles going. That's the only heat in the shack right now. And happy to say we got our boy is back.
Hey,
the boys are back in town. There he is, Sidecar Steve, W7UDI.
Yeah, they let me out of Hawaii, so I came
well, that's
back
good.
To all this.
All that weed you were
good.
Trying to carry around. Who said that? I don't know. I'm trying to figure out if we actually did go live. Welcome, everybody. We are back again on Saturday mornings because of the good fortune of, I guess, the school system. Oh, this is a whole other. Let me get to the base of the why we're able to do this part is because my daughter's classes this semester, where she takes the school, takes these classes, actually figured it out, and then they kind of stack these classes where the kids could take like 2 in one day instead of this one is this day, this one is the other day, and it's a run around, I think 6 days a week going back and forth to the city from here. 40-minute trip down, 40-minute back. You do what you do for your kids. But we figured out that here we are. We can get her into get her off on Saturday mornings. I'm like, okay, cool. Then Daddy's going to, get the band back together and do it. So I'm going to put this out too as part of the podcast because this is for the community. This isn't necessarily going to be some structured formatted thing like you've seen in the past because we used to record 100 Watts and Wire podcast on Saturday morning. So it was very structured. We had news, we had all this, and we can do all these things, but it will be here for you as a community to come join us, talk about life, what's going on in amateur radio. Everybody's welcome here. And that said, we're streaming. We're supposed to be streaming, Steve, to YouTube and Facebook, which is with a lot of drama in recent times, as people will know. I don't know. It is right now telling me that we are going to go live soon, and we are totally live at the moment. So I don't know if anybody's around on the YouTube channel and said going live soon, but I ain't seen nothing. And again, you all know my issues in the last several months, and I don't know if I can fix it here or what, but we're going to keep it laid back today. You can, if you have questions. In fact, I'm going to put in the chat a form for questions or comments, so we can take some questions or comments from you today. Also, I think I'm going to leave the key under the mat to come in and say hello. We'll see how that goes. We'll just kind of play this by ear, laid back community thing. So if anybody, so YouTube sounded good. That's awesome. Thank you for that, Don Z. He's in the frost.
Yep. I see we are on YouTube.
We're on YouTube. So. We should be on Twitch. We are on Twitter. Hello to everybody. We're just sending it out there to whoever in our community may be able to pick it up. 12,700 people on Facebook. And again, Zucky looks like he's kicking me right in the nuts here. With like, hey, he's going to go live soon. Believe me. I don't think it's there.
Oh, yeah. He's messing with you from Kauai. So
let me see here. Yeah, it's not. You guys don't see it, right? It's not. It doesn't look like it's happening. Anyway, it's okay. It's not, it's not a big deal. We are streaming to a couple of outlets. I just hope to kind of meet the people where they are. It doesn't matter where you find us. However, if you were expecting to watch it on YouTube with our community there, on Facebook, I don't know that we're there, to be quite honest with you. So I can't find it. No big worries. Speaking about Zucky, you texted me and said that SOB, that lovely, handsome man, and I'm sure he has beautiful kids. Please get my stream rolling. He bought up some more property in Hawaii. Did that happen as you were visiting this last time?
While we were there, he, it was on the local media that he picked up another 1,700 acres in Kauai. So
I've never been to Hawaii, so my ignorance is that I didn't know there was that much land to be purchased at all in Hawaii. You know what I mean? I don't. I just don't have any mental block of or point of reference for how big it actually is there. So mind my ignorance. But when you told me that, I was like, wow, Zucky just bought the whole island. He bought everything. And I'm like,
that's small.
It's bigger than that. Okay.
It's a little bigger than that. There's one other family that that I understand has a really big stake in the private land, and they're really into the conserving the land as it is and keeping it all natural, and that's really nice. And so, but yeah, while we were there, I just somewhere on the local news or something, it's heard that Zuckerberg picked up another 1,700 acres, and I'm like, wow.
And what do you think that would cost an acre anywhere? You know, you might dream of a 2-acre lot somewhere in Hawaii, but can you imagine what that would cost?
A lot of money. So.
Well, it cost me a lot of stress, and I couldn't buy anything with it. And it's been well documented here on the show of late. And just to catch everybody up, because I know everybody doesn't follow every week, and sometimes they string out, and we sometimes see in our Discord that people are going back to episodes, and I'm on episode 300. Like, congratulations. I'm like, oh, cool. All right. That was like 20, 30,
thank you.
2 weeks ago or whatever it was. But thank you. And people listen to podcasts differently, and then, so what was my point there? Oh, yeah. So, I was kind of locked out of Facebook there for probably 3 weeks. And you know what, Steve? It was kind of the best 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. I was pissed because I'm dealing with this, I can't get in. I felt like I created a space on this platform where people gather. Mm-hmm. The numbers are there, the engagement's there, and there's no human to talk to. I was having trouble, and I couldn't get a human. I couldn't get an email back. And everything I follow, everything they do, and I could see having so many people, it's just write this up. And like, let's put a bunch of documents on, if you're having trouble, try this. Well, I tried all those things, and I wanted a damn person. I know there's a person somewhere that could just say, right. Oh, you may have been hacked or whatever. Did you try? Yep, nope. And walk me through the steps, because, after all, I know it's small compared to a lot of things, but 12,000 people is not, you can't shake a stick at that. You should be able to help me. And that was my frustration.
And wasn't people starting to say, hey, you abandoned the Facebook group?
Yeah, and that hurt a little bit too, because that was and I'm going to try something here. Let's see if I can do this. Let's see if this works for us. This should come up here. Oh, if I need to bring it up. As we're live streaming here, I am told that I can bring the chat up on the screen here. We'll see if this actually works. But
slide this over a little bit.
But
center me up.
There we go. All right, so it's ready to display. You can. Well, I don't know. I probably have to go in and explore this a little bit, just to make sure all.
Yeah, pardon us. We're kind of like going down a new road here.
We're tying. It looks like Facebook doesn't want to play with us. It was counting us down and said it's going to start soon. And it's just not cool to go in.
Facebook's being Facebook.
There you are. Let me take this off. I'll figure out the connectivity. I did figure out, though, that we could, our Discord friends can use the live chat and get into this chat. So we're kind of, there are people, Steve, and I know I got off
Don
track
says
there.
Twitter stream is working, so we're
Twitter's
good there.
Cool. I'll take it. We've got some people over there. Anybody who can see it is cool. Anybody listening on Twitter, you may want to go to YouTube. Or anybody who was thinking Facebook is an option, is not.
And Ben just said live chat, so it came in that way. So
yeah, it came in that way, and I'll sort out the thing where it puts up your, what is it called? Not your icon, but your face, your avatar, whatever it was called. I'll get it all sorted out. But that came up late in the week too. Was people will not people. I found out, didn't know this, Steve. People don't even want to do Google.
Oh,
they don't. I didn't know this. I was like, what's wrong with Google? I know Facebook, you for years you were like, I don't do Facebook, man. I'm not going to be over there. I don't know. I can check it through my wife or whatever. I can look through, but I'm not on it. And I was like, okay, because everybody in the world's on it, right? And as time has come out, it's pretty common to hear that Facebook, whatever, man. But I didn't know Google too. Like, people are like, I don't want to be on Google. And I was like, oh,
well, it's all the everything, all the data that Google collects,
Yeah.
people are having an issue with. And, YouTube is part of Google. So
Right.
it's.
And so they don't want to do, and they don't want to do the YouTube channel. And I get it, man. I get it. If you don't want to do it, so I'm thinking I better find a way to cast the largest net possible. At least the people can come. People, I'm finding, really do dig Discord. Now, we're one of the smaller servers on there. And, it'll grow and it'll be fine. But, I'm working on a live show call-in thing so we could take calls from Discord because people dig it. Actually, Sidecar Steve digs Discord where he doesn't do Facebook. So he's there. And I created this live chat function where you can go in there and now if you're in Discord and you want to participate in the chat and send it over here so people can see it on the YouTube, you can do it. Now, I don't know that you'll see all the other messages. That's the thing. But you can actually, whatever. I'm just trying to get it out there and meet people where they're at.
The funny story was when we first started up the Discord server and started going, my son came upstairs one day and walked right behind me, and there I'm, hunched over on the Mac and banging away on the keyboard into Discord, and he lost his collective crap.
Really?
He couldn't believe it. Was like, Dad, you're on Discord, and he just went off. It was pretty hilarious. And I go, well, yeah, Discord's cool, and there's some good stuff here. And he just, because he's on Facebook, my wife's on Facebook, and they do all the social media stuff, and I'm just kind of I'll hang here on ham radio, and Discord's fine with me. So,
yeah.
But yeah, if you haven't, give it a try. Join us on the Discord group. It's a really good group. We're a little over 500 now. We're growing slowly, but a lot of engagement. I like all the all the different rooms we have. It's the hard part is you kind of start something in one room and it's like, wow, we should move it over to somewhere else. It doesn't belong here. So, but there's a real active weather group so we can just talk about weather and what we're all dealing with, which we all deal with. And this winter has been just nuts, at least over here and everywhere else. And then there's something on ham radio related, kind of a catch-all room, and then on the air. That's been kind of neat. I like the on the air part where we start spotting and talking about what's going on the air. And if you're into POTA, we do a lot of POTA spotting. So come and join us on the Discord group. I think you'll like it.
I'm going to release this, I think, as part of the podcast, too. I don't know how long it'll go, but I think the community engagement of it, I want to have an area where the community can come for fellowship together, too. I had a conversation. I went to New York in 2021 and met up with Pastor Joe. Pastor Joe actually drove my family to Manhattan from his place. You should see this place. We should have been pastors. We should have gone into pastor school or whatever the degree is that makes you a pastor. I don't know how you become a pastor.
Yep.
Freaking castle. He's got a castle. I'm like, I don't want to know. He's like, sanitation. I'm like, oh, I see. So I think he's a mobster. I'm guessing. It's all lies. We're just having a good time. But why did I bring up Pastor Joe and that whole thing?
You went to New York in 2020.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a fact. I don't know where I was going with any of that. Oh, no. This is why. Because, I was telling him, and it wasn't in the confessional. It was just on the ride, kind of the differences between YouTube, because this is a podcast, and it's always been a podcast first, and YouTube becomes a thing. I think YouTube can become a mind F if you let it. And I got to say, you're thinking about, all right, whatever, and you're hedging your bets. And I'm like, you know what? Nah, man, this is a podcast that can send things over there. If you're interested in looking at stuff, cool. You can see the show. You can see this live stream. We can get together in the community over there, but it's a podcast. People dig it way more, 100 watts in a wire, in their ear somewhere else. They like to take it. So this format's good for a podcast where we can sit and talk and bring people in if we want to. But I said, so, I'm a little kind of crossed Pastor Joe. And he had me trapped for like, I don't know, an hour in the car. So it's like we had to talk. Usually I wouldn't look at him in the face and, whatever. But just teasing Pastor Joe. It's mostly because he's a Boston Red Sox fan. If he got an Oriole hat, then, But he said,
he'd be sitting in his lap then probably.
Oh, man, come on. You're taking this in a weird church thing, man. I don't know who does that. I don't know if I did it. What happened to me? Oh, no. See, this is it. This is life.
This is it. Yep.
And he said, it's not necessarily what you're doing or what you're saying. It's that you're providing a place for the community to come to be together with themselves and you. And I thought, damn, that was like really heavy for me. That was in other words, it's not all about you or Steve or your guest or whoever you would, or the topic. It's that you've created a community where people can come be together. And I think, that's it. Like that was actually, it became the purpose in my mind. Like 100 Watts and Wire became this community. There's a podcast. We have a net. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We've got a couple people over on Twitch. It's like, all right, well, let me try to meet you wherever you are and then try to find a way to bring you all together and have a sense of community. And if you look at the chat, you can see that they are, hey, Don, hey, Ray, hey, they're there together. And it doesn't matter what these two goofballs in front of you are saying or doing. I mean, I've got a seance going on back here. I got a candle. I've got hands. I know it ain't right.
Yeah, but where's the lava lamp?
Good morning,
the lava
Brett.
lamp going.
Now, Brett was instrumental. And again, I'm going to welcome everybody because this could go a little bit longer than your normal show. Shows are about 40 minutes, and I'm clipping those off on Thursdays right now because that's ending up really good. Saturday mornings, 9:00 is very good. I'm wide open. Don't know how long it'll go, but we'll see how long. I mean, in terms of length of time. Little bummed out that Facebook, and I know many others are like, Facebook anyway, whatever, who cares? The technical aspect of it gets me. I'm like, damn it, I set this up, and why isn't it connecting?
It never fails. You test it, everything works fine, and then when we go live, it goes sideways.
This all started, this is interesting for me that you and I did. Kilo India 9 Whiskey told me during one of the ham radio expos, what is that thing called? The QSO Today Ham Expo, I think it's called, right?
Yeah.
Years ago now. It's been, a couple years ago maybe. And Kilo India 9 Whiskey, my friend Ian in Chicago, he said, why don't you stream on Facebook? And it was going out because this was a virtual event. And you can have a booth and you can do this, but why don't you stream? And you remember that stream? It was the first thing we ever did, like a stream. And I'm like, that was pretty effing cool after the, so he's kind of got us in, but it all started on a Facebook stream. And what frustrates me is that we still can't get this right. Me getting back on Facebook, you asked me that this morning, has nothing to do with my old account. I basically had to become Dirk Diggler or whatever. That's the guy in Boogie Nights with the huge Johnson. I figured that would be appropriate. Dirk Diggler, right? I had to create a whole new identity because anything related to me was like a red flag to them. It was like, oh, he's trying again. And it was like, nope, you got something. It's on lockdown, and I'm still locked out of that original account. It's still there. But anyway, Dirk Diggler, you should see my profile picture.
No,
I got no friends. I got no friends on the new Facebook account. I'm holding off hope that maybe we'll get back into it, the original, because there were a lot of friends there and family, and I would like to have it after all these years.
That is crazy. That there has to be a way for them to reset it or what. So.
Yeah, Brett was actually instrumental this week in letting me know that we could create a way to kind of restream it out. The company is called Restream, where you could take and send it to multiple platforms. And sadly, there's something about our Facebook group, go figure, that just doesn't want to click. And many people say, who cares? But the idea was to get it out in front of as many eyeballs as we can and meet people where they are, because frankly, they are there. And I put out a community question each week. ham radio related, and I give the answers out every week of what your responses were. Again, more community oriented. It's not just talking puppets up here talking about this is what you need to do. Ask us, and we'll try to give you the best answer. Speaking of that,
Yeah.
I'm going to put a form. I'll drop it in here just to see if this will work. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the key under the mat here for anybody who's around. If you're watching on Twitter, YouTube, or following along on Discord, you'll see this. You can come in, but you'll use your name and your call sign. That way, if any busters come in here, like the Wild West acting crazy, we'll know what's going on. We got to protect the integrity of everything here, but I don't anticipate any of that. But we can bring you in. If you do call up, be patient. You'll have to turn your stream down when you come in. And what else here? What else will we need to do? Turn the stream down. Don't be an Alpha Hotel. Or something else. But be patient. I'll put that link in now. Also, questions or comments. There'll be a little form that'll come to me directly here in the studio, and we can answer that. If not, put a Q in front of your comment in the chat. Okay, this will be good for when we get bigger and we have more traffic and that kind of thing. We can be able to catch it and maybe get some more people in. So I'm going to put it in here. You would need your camera, of course, if you're going to come join us. The phone rings. Hang tight. Turn your speaker down. Yeah.
So as you're doing that,
go
I got
ahead.
a B. Butler. This sweatshirt is an Ariat. I know you asked a while ago, and I first got one through my FR clothing for work, and then I found this version through Amazon. And so, yeah, Ariat is, they have it in the black camo, they have it in the brown camo and a tan or something like that. So just look it up.
I like
Ariat
the camo pattern. I like that. All right, now I'm back over here obsessing about the Facebook thing. There's some buttons to push. I could push some buttons over here. It's like, go live now. I want to create that event. Okay, check down in your, I can probably put it in here as well. Oh, I see what happens now. Don't mind us. A couple of topics that I think we should comment on before we get too deep into this is that, if you've been around the show, at least in the last year and a half, we've had a bit of a matriarch, and that is Miss Betty White. She became a talking point along with Lucille Ball. We've talked about Ginger and Marianne, and this isn't just like subjects as beautiful people, but particularly Betty White became sort of this running theme in our live streams on Saturday mornings, our meet and greets. She made it to 99, Steve. That's pretty damn good.
Yeah, 6 weeks short of 100. It's just unbelievable.
Maybe even less than that. I think it was just like a couple weeks. And they were talking, people were talking about how she died, and it was funny that People Magazine had put out a thing. They were getting ready to celebrate her. They were thinking, she was in pretty good health. But I think you get up in those age groups, man, you just don't know. You just don't know. You go to bed, and I imagine that she went to sleep and didn't wake up. But what a life! What a life to have 99 years. That's a long,
incredible life, and what a great entertainer, and just to the end, just unbelievable.
They ran a Saturday Night Live. Oh, it's just so funny, And she was 88 or something, or 89 at that when that was. It was a great cast. I look at the cast now, and there's a couple of sprinkles of talent in there, but most of the time I don't get it. I still give it a shot because I like the show. But that time she was with a really cool cast. They were really funny. Oh, yeah. Great writing. She was good. She did a bit about several bits. She was in a ton of them. And Facebook actually was instrumental in her getting that gig. The community were pushing Lorne Michaels and SNL to put Betty White on, and it actually happened through Facebook, which is strange and great. She came on in her monologue and said that, she thanked everybody on Facebook, and she goes, but I never even knew what Facebook was. And she goes, after finding out what it was, I think it is like a terrible waste of time, It really is. It really is. But
she called it like she see it. Yeah. It was awesome.
She did a bit where she was like a scared straight prison, like this is an 89-year-old woman's going to come into the prison, scare the young teenagers straight, get straight. But it was just hysterical. So I think if you can check that out, it's worth watching. And I haven't seen her in recent, I think you get up into that age, man. They got to be really careful about putting you out there. Mm-hmm. I've seen it with BB King. It wasn't 99 at all, but they put him on stage, and they should have stopped. Mm-hmm. But there was, in his case, there was a lot of people that depended on him being out there. Big bands, Lots of travel managers, and like 40 people who made a living off of BB King showing up. And the product suffered. They put him out there, and he was sick, and toward the end. So that was a bit of a. Anyway,
yeah, that's too bad. Yeah, and now that's the last impression that people have, and that's the sad part.
Really unfortunate. Let me see if I can pop over here to our. I guess I can put it. I think it went into the YouTube chat. I don't know. Let me see here if I can do it here real quick.
I do not see what I'm typing here coming out on you, but okay. All right. Yeah, Brett's. We're kind of watching the chat here too. So.
Yeah, we're keeping an eye on the chat here. Sometimes you miss it. We have a caller, Steve-O, and let me bring him in.
We have a divine intervention.
Yeah, we have an intervention. Let's see if we can help somebody. Good morning. This is Don, Kilo Bravo 2, Yankee Sierra India. What's going on, man?
Hey, Don.
Not much. Can you guys actually hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, sweet.
You're not the tallest.
Audio actually works.
You're not the tallest guy I've ever seen. We're getting to see your shelves, but that's okay. The audio podcast won't. There you go. Now you're taller. Now we look like steps.
Here, I'll move the
there
camera
you
down.
Go. Bring it down. Perfect.
There you go. What's going on, Don?
Not much. As first stream for 2022. Good job, guys.
Nice.
Just putting it out there for the people, man. I don't know what the people want, but I know it's being together is kind of a cool deal. And we get together on Sundays. We get to hang out on Sundays on the air. And, I want to do some streams on Sunday, too. I just can't lock them all in. It'll almost be impromptu on Sundays. But that's when we get on the air and have some fun. I figure Saturdays might be a good chance to just bring some folks around.
Yeah, so one topic that I know it's been brought up a bunch of times is we always talk about antennas, right? I have a really weird situation is where I have lots of trees around me, except it takes me 200 feet to get to them. So it's because I have to kind of like go around the house. So I've been struggling. It's like, do we do the typical, was it the 40 whatever foot vertical with a remote tuner type of deal? Or do you do the remote or do a remote switch, sort of like what Christian has? And I know a lot of people do, and then just use multiple, more resonant antennas. So like, what's your guys' thoughts on those?
Let me just ask a quick follow-up. Is the distance between, because I have this too, I have probably 100 feet or more from my shack here out to that switcher. Is it the distance that you're worried about, like the cost of coax in doing that, or is it what's bugging you about the distance from your shack?
Yeah, it's definitely a combination, right? Like the cost is going to be pretty significant, especially if you decide to go with, say, like LMR 600, right? I think I priced it out. It's close to $300 just for the run to get out there, and then you're tacking on an additional $200-$300 depending on what
on this
box you put out
switcher.
there. Yeah,
right.
Yep. So and it's So I mean, it's a combination, right? Like obviously the coax you need either way. That you can't get around it.
So which bands do you want to operate primarily?
Typically, I mean, right now all I have is 40, 20, and 10.
And
Um,
okay, so that's where you're going to have your
it's
greatest loss. Will be 10 meters.
Yeah,
So
and we haven't really worked too much on 10 yet. So
so the run would be about 200 feet, approximately, and you're probably
yep,
going to end up burying that line.
correct.
So,
Yep.
yeah, that's going to add up.
Yeah, because like if you
So
do LMR 400, you end up getting quite a big loss um, for that
on 10
distance.
meters, yeah, and
Yeah,
and you'll get a little bit of loss for 20, and then 40 won't be so bad. 80 won't be that bad, but yeah, your losses will end up. And but
What's your
yes,
tree
LMR 600.
situation out there? What's the tree like? What's the payoff? Say you could do it and you could get your run of coax out there the way you want to, and you could get a switcher somewhere out there that was safe from your lawn mowing and all that sort of those needs. What's the payoff in the trees? Is it substantially good, or is it going to be another big projects to clear and stuff like that? I had to clear a lot. It was worth it to me in the end, I guess is what I'm getting at. Like, what are your tree options when you do get out there in a perfect world?
yeah, we've got a lot of hardwoods out here. And the one area that I was actually eyeing, it is relatively open because there's a tiny little runoff that comes through the woods. So there's not, for whatever reason, there's not a lot of big trees right in that area, but there's a lot of them around it. Um, I don't. We only moved here a couple years ago, so I don't know what the overall history of the woods are around here. So um,
Mhm.
if it just seems weird that there's just this almost an opening that's out there that I was eyeing it up, and I think you easily probably could put up some wire delta loops in that area with only supports on the edges, and it be relatively easy to contain the the wires in there. Because trying to do like long dipoles, especially for say like 160, as Christian says, the legs, um, is tough out
So
here because we got lots of branches.
another option, and someone just threw out in the chat about open wire, uh, feed line. So a balanced feed line. Is there a way to support, say, a balanced feed line from the house towards the trees? Is
Yeah, I might be able to do it. Um,
So here's something that could be so you could just kind of go with kind of a double zep, just get a long, maybe 256-foot dipole, but feed it with the ladder line, and then bring the ladder line back to the house, and then you could probably put a 4-to-1 balun right at the eaves, and then come in with coax, and that could possibly work. And you'll be able to tune up the balance line. Will definitely have a lot less loss. It'll work better. It should tune up on everything. Um, and then you'll have reduced run of coax. But the key is on the balance ladder line, you got to keep it out in the open. You can't, put it in conduit or bury it, because it'll be ineffective. So that's another option that you can look at. NFEDs is another one where you start from the house and kind of work your way out towards the trees, and go with that. I think there's a magic number that's 200 and some odd feet for an NFED wire. The 43-foot vertical that you mentioned, but you really need to have a uh, a remote tuner at the base for it to work efficiently. I did talk to a guy here the other day, and he had a 43-foot vertical, and he fed it with coax and only had a couple of radials down. And his tuner was tuning it, and I think he was in Florida, and it was working quite well. So another option. So there's there's some ideas out there you could try. I would probably, the easiest would maybe try the end fed and go from there, or quarter wave verticals close to the house. So, but if you're going to go out towards to the trees and things like that, hopefully we'll get back into ham fests here soon. Ideally, if you can find a 200-foot run of half-inch LDF4 hardline and bury that, and then you put a switcher out there. And so if you go with the switcher that Christian has, you need to run another line with control leads, so like a Ethernet cable.
Or though they I think it's Ameritron. They make a 4 that's coax.
Well, the 4 is it? Yep, it uses voltage on the coax. So depending on your switcher. So
yeah, I went bigger than the 4 switch because I think, and like I asked, when you get out there, like it's Candyland. Then you start seeing things. You're like, oh, I could, and I still do it after all this time, and I second guess myself, and I'm like, just try it, dummy, and it's like, you can do it, dummy, don't do it, you throw it, and I do it, and then I put it back because I made a mistake. But when you get out there, you'll start to see the potential, and I know it's expensive, so I can't tell you how to spend your money, but that's kind of how I did it. I did 213 out there, and most of it's buried, and then when I hit the tree lines, it's above ground. But I think you'll find there's a whole world out there if it becomes available to you. But I had a 4-position switcher for that Ameritron, and that's coax fed, and it's just one. You don't need to run a second line with it. I mean, if you're going to bury conduit, boy, this is another project, which I haven't done because it's such a long run, and I'm on a hill, and it would be a real mess, and it would get me in wife trouble, and like, what are you doing with a backhoe or a ditch witch? And what is that? And why are you laying pipe down for that? But that would be like the perfect install would be that. That's the way if you can, but I can't. But that 4 switcher from MFJ, you get it at MFJ, but it's Ameritron, makes it just one piece of coax connects. You're limited to 4. So think about, am I going to get bigger than 4 if I go out in the trees? If you do, then you want to bury the coax and that wire that Steve mentioned now instead of doing what I did. You have to dig it all back up. Like, I've made mistakes. Mistakes have been made.
It's easier to do it.
Oh, yeah, that's how we learn. And so,
but you mentioned a vertical. Yeah, he mentioned a vertical. Yeah. I didn't go ahead and thank Brett, but you mentioned a vertical option. That might have been where you're leaning the most when you started off the call. So we can go back to that. What did Brett say?
Oh, he mentioned that LMR 400 at 30 megs, the loss is 3.9 dB. So that's more than half your power. So if you put 100 watts into one end of the coax, the other end, you're going to have, 3.9. I'm just going to spitball it here, about 40 watts out at the end. That's for 100 feet at 10 meters. Now you add 200 feet. So now you're going to you'll end up with about 20 watts at the end. So oof. Yeah, that's, where we end up running.
Yeah, I know the problem. I normally do VHF stuff, so it's even worse when you start getting into long runs on that. So I know the pain.
For me, even though my tower is only 100 feet away from my shop here, and then going up, I run half-inch all the way to the top of the tower, and so that's about a 200-foot run of half-inch, and just to minimize those losses. But when you start getting into long runs, you got to start thinking of the losses, and keep an eye out. You might be able to find some half-inch on the surplus side that, and it's pretty durable. But you definitely want to have a continuous piece if possible. You don't want to have any. I made the mistake, and I'll admit
here we go. We're making mistakes. I like it.
We're getting into it. We all do it, and I just kind of I threw together I threw up my 80-meter double bazooka, and I was looking around. I have 2 pieces of coax. I'll just put them together with a barrel connector, and kind of taped it up, and I ran it through the conduit, and the connection was maybe 4 or 5 feet short of the tower base. And I ran like that for years. And then one day it opened up. And I'm like, what the heck is going on with the coax? So I figured out the ends, put on new fittings on the ends. Nope, that didn't solve the, still had an open in the coax. And then finally I just said, screw it. I got a new piece of 213, pulled out the old, and within 4 or 5 feet pulling out the cable, there was the connection. I went, oh my God, Steve, you idiot. What were you thinking? Yeah, I wasn't. And yep. So if you do that, don't put your splices or your or any connectors inside a conduit or buried in the ground, because it will bite you in the butt down the road. So I'll be the first one to admit it.
Nobody enjoys that. Well, I mean, some people like getting bit in the butt, but in other ways. Yep. All right, man, I hope we helped you. I don't know. Do you have any questions about verticals? Because I know that's what you mentioned when you came in. I don't know a ton, but Steve might be able to help you with a vertical thought. You have a question about that, Don? Which way to go?
Yeah. I mean, it's always, right, each antenna has its own time and place.
They have their pluses and minuses. If you're going to go with a vertical, make sure you got a good counterpoise radial system. That's to make it efficient. And it also helps on the impedance and the match for quarter wave verticals. And so if you get down there, try to put down as many radials as possible. Once you get above 32, then you got to go to 64 and then 128. And that's a lot of wire to bury in the ground.
Hey, we're streaming on Facebook now. Zaki. Hey, let us know what happens. Maybe come back next week, Don, and tell us what's going on. Go ahead.
Another thing, and Brett just mentioned it too. So, and I've thought of it is that if you had like a flex radio or something, or if you could keep using the 7300 as the example, but is out in your tree line, if you had an enclosure out there or a little outhouse building or something, you can remote. Put your equipment out there and then just run Ethernet cable back and just remotely operate your radio, and then all your radios out there. So another option. I mean, you can always think out of the box and go from there. So
yeah, that's that was an entire idea. Just put an equipment shed out there and
that's doable. So that's kind of think about it and go from there. And
what I wish we could have done, what would have been really cool, is if Don, this is a case where we gave away $1,000 worth of gear at the end of last year. If he had sent the card, hopefully you did send the card in and got in the game. 200 feet of coax, man. I would have sent 4 of those babies in, just 400, because somebody did. I can't remember the name of the winner, the first week or second week or something. It was like all coax. And I get it, man. 213, when I put mine down, and this was an investment too. I just can't pop on stuff. I've got kids and considerations. So I saved, and I was advised 213 that you can bury. And I was like, okay. And I looked at the price, and it was like $1 a foot. I'm like, son of a, and I don't know what it is today. But boy, I try to protect that as much as I can, because it just came really high recommended. The 213, it's like military grade and all this sort of stuff. And there's even better, I know. But at $1 a foot, you really got to.
It adds up.
It totally adds up. And you need a little bit more. Not only do you need to get out there, then you got to get where you're going, and then you got to go up. So you got 50 feet. Yep. You got to go across, and then you got to get back to the home. So I feel you, man. I know it's not an easy situation. I don't know if we helped you at all, but.
What I'm running on right now is it's a 100-foot run, but I can only put it about 28 feet in the air because of what you said, like the path to get out there and then the vertical part. So it's only going up like 28 feet because that's all the extra coax that I had once I got to where the tree was. So,
but I have learned that you can. I know that, and I try to do this as much as possible. I probably have a couple of spots out there where I've had to connect 2 together. Because I think my 160 situation is all that what we've said and then some. Like it runs all the way out to the edge of like a bluff. And then it goes up about 45 feet. And I think at that point where it goes vertical, I've connected them. And an old ham told me one time, and Steve can, dispel the myth, or if it's wrong, just tell me. But I put not a barrel connector, but a connector between the two, taped them up, and had no problem. And an old ham told me, it's fine. Like, am I going to lose at that point? Is that a failure point? And he was like, stop thinking so much. You know what I mean? It's okay.
It can be. Like in my case, it was.
Damn it. I knew it. I got to go. You guys do this thing. I got to get out there and I got to cut that back. The
problem is mine was hidden. It was just a hidden thing. And it's one of those deals. Well, at least yours is exposed, and you should be able to.
Mine's above the ground. If it is a problem, I can get to it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
all right, Don. I'm gonna let you go, brother. You be good.
Thanks.
Keep us updated on what's going on.
Another thing before you go is think about a loop, and you can get the feet if you can get it back towards the house. 160 meter loop, so that's a lot of wire. But if you got 200 feet between the house and the tree line, that's 1.8 megs. It's 1,005 divided by 1.8, so that's your total length of wire, and you make a big old loop out of that, and you can get the feed point there by the house, and that's another option. So go from there.
The sky loop was another option then that I was kicking around. So, all right, thanks guys. Have a great weekend.
Hey, good to see you, man.
You too, Don.
Thanks
you
for coming.
buddy.
All right, very cool. I like that. Put that in the chat. We're actually still streaming. We're actually streaming on the Facebook. I don't know. Zucky is king. Ha ha ha. There's just a lot of people over there, and I want to give those people thank goodness. I can't wait to visit him at his new place. We can also take calls. Now, I've set up a system in Discord that would require some moderation, but I may be able to do it here by myself today. If you need the Discord link, look wherever you're watching this. It should be in the description. So YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, even Twitch. I have to check that one. I didn't go over to Twitch. We just have a handful of people over there, but they're important too. But our Discord link is in the description, so you can come and join us. But I've got it set up to take calls there too. We could take calls through Discord, and what you'd look for is the live show calls category, and then pop yourself down into the green room, and then we'll move you to one of the live spots there. But as we grow, it was created for when we get bigger. We're not big right now. Twitch is working. This just in from Don Z. He is he's so effing cold where he is in Minnesota that he is on every platform and watching us. He's one of our moderators on Discord and on the YouTube channel and all that sort of stuff. So he tops everybody generally when we get in there and we're like, good morning. I'm like, good day, everyone. It's 6 degrees. Ooh, gotta be cold. Don's actually usually, and he must rise early. I'm an early riser myself too. I know you're on a different time zone, but it seems like he's always in first. And he wrote this week something like, I don't have any sympathy for you. It's minus effing 26. And I was like, damn, like, whoo. I'm going to get a suntan today. That guy, woo. Boy, that's a choice to live in cold weather like that, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. I need to get out and move a little bit. That would lock me up. Just, nope, you're not going. Can't go out.
Exactly.
I want to talk to you. Also, we mentioned a little bit, this is the intersection of life and amateur radio. So things that involve any amateur radio are fair game for us. It gives us a lot of leeway. And I was telling Steve earlier, I took a trip to Chicago, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago. It was Christmas week. We went up Monday, took the girls to see Nutcracker up there. It was fun to get on the train.
That must have been cool.
Just, you see the countryside in a way that you may not see it otherwise, and a lot of it does run along highways, and some train tracks I think are gorgeous. You could probably go across the mountains in places where roads were not put. You can see those from other trains. So, we went up there, and I noticed a guy going down the aisle. He was helping people with their whatever it was on the train. He worked for the train company. He's got a radio. They're employed. I'm like, That's amateur radio. It's not typical how we do our communication where we think, but we should also think that that's still amateur radio.
It's radio's radio.
Radio is radio. There's a new T-shirt. Radio is radio. Can we work on that, Patrick? We'll get that put up in the thing right away.
Yeah, Patrick did his cross country train ride too. And he kind of showed us pictures and talked about it, and that was kind of cool.
Don Z says, I wish I had an amp. He's talking to us from the chat room. Look, I mean, it's one of these things where it goes back to the age-old discussion of, is this an expensive hobby? And it will send...
Especially amps now.
Oh, amps now are hard to get. And
expensive.
Maybe expensive. They're limited. We need the Hamfest to come back, and maybe you can pick up something that you can look at, maybe like what you have, Steve. I still covet that. I got the old Heath, what is it, SB 200 or whatever it is. I'm like, man, that's
200s and 220s. Yep.
Oh, it's sexy, boy. But they're hard to come by right now. I guess it's pandemic, the chips or whatever's going on. You just can't get
the
an
tubes.
amp.
The tubes are becoming a problem, and then what tubes are coming out, the quality's not so good. So it's a challenge when it comes to maintaining the amps, especially the older amps. So now we're getting into the solid state amps, but still, I mean, it's just unbelievable. I've just a Meritron, not a Meritron, a AL80 or something. It was like $4,000 or something like that. I was like, what?
It's crazy.
I saw something the other day, and I'm like, my mind just went. I just couldn't believe the cost. I don't even want to know. It's ridiculous.
I hear people talking on the radio. They're either looking for them to buy them, and they just can't find them. Meritron, which is a lot of, I think, people go and look in that direction. There's many other options out there, and they're, but you can't get them. And I don't know if it's because the parts, obviously the parts or the chips or whatever, are a big problem. You can't get, Macintosh computers. You had to wait a little bit for your new Mac. It wasn't super long though. It was a few weeks or something, I think.
Yeah, and I ordered the day it came out, and it still took a couple of weeks, and now it's even farther out. So it's like, holy smokes!
Yeah.
And I just went and got the base model. I just didn't go with the. I guess if you get the more loaded up, you're farther out, and
yeah.
So I was like, hey. But it's crazy. It is just absolutely nuts.
You guys that are in Discord and using Discord like Brett, do you see everybody else's chat somehow? How do you see chat? I know you can chat back from there, but are you watching? How's that connection work? I have no idea. He seems to be commenting. Maybe it's on what we're saying. He's watching it somewhere. Where are you watching it from? Where are you watching this from? Because I only see the comments in the Discord. From the Discord, they don't incorporate all of it, but it allows you to send them to the main chat. If you have a question or comment, you can put Q in front of it in the chat. This is our version of Car Talk with Frickin' Frack. It is Ham Radio Talk. This is our community. You can talk about any subject you want here in life. You are the connection to ham radio. You guys are hams. You're the connection. So anything that's going on in your life that you want to talk about, whether it's weather. Let's do that, by the way. Is everybody good, Steve? I know we get to talking for a while, and
Brett says he has YouTube open in one browser and Discord in another. So
okay, because you can watch YouTube and not have an account. I get it now. I understand. Anybody can go to YouTube and just watch. Mm-hmm. Got it. We've been at it for about an hour here. I'm still good. If you're still good, Steve, are you all right? When I say that is old man code for do you have to piss yet? Are you ready for a change?
No, I'm good.
I'm good too at the moment. Let's go through and we do this on Discord in the morning. I've got 27 degrees here just north of St. Louis, 66 degrees in the shack. I am wearing a bit of a fleece here today, but it's comfortable in here, but 23 outside. 3.4 mile an hour wind here at game time, or at least an hour into the game. Let us know what's going on with your temperatures. Drop them in the chat so we can share those with the people. Steve, what are you looking at? You were looking at 2 feet of snow or something nutty. I'm like, hey, old boy, how you doing today? And because I didn't know. And the text came back like 2 feet of snow. I was like, ooh. But the photographs you posted on Discord were beautiful.
It was nuts. And so I live kind of up on a hill, and I got a long driveway. And so I'm just, after shoveling the deck, it was, that was the first thing I did in the morning was get that shoveled, and then got onto the tractor and kind of whittled my way out and started plowing up on top, and then worked my way down the hill. And most of the time I can get back up the hill once I make a path down, but couldn't get back up.
No.
And it was like, crap, and I don't have the chains. I don't have chains for my tractor. So it was like, okay, here's what we're going to do. We'll just start whittling away at the bottom. And I just started going up, pulling down, going up, pulling down, going up. And then finally I was able to get up on top, and then get refueled. And I was kind of started in a deficit on fuel. I was like, darn it.
No.
And the last thing you want to do is, anyone that operates diesel motors knows you don't want to run out of fuel. And so it was quite a process. And then once I got that done, and then just whittled away up on top, and it was pretty much a good chunk of the day. 5 hours or so I was whittling away at getting everything cleared, and got this path that go off the hill. So it was fun. That was Thursday. We're currently 21 degrees outside. It's 69 here in the shack, 3.4 miles an hour. Winds out of the southwest, and so not too bad. The other issue we are having, and it hasn't really made the news or anything, all east-west mountain passes here in the state of Washington are shut down. They've been shut down since basically Thursday. They were talking about opening up today, but now it looks like it might be Monday. Our Interstate 90, the major thoroughfare that goes between the Seattle area and to the east, is closed in 2 places. To the west of us, over Snoqualmie Pass, and then to the east of us, Ryegrass, which is just kind of a small hill that goes up and over, and then down into the Vantage where the Columbia River is. It kind of iced up. Yesterday we had a nice warm up, got into the almost over 40, and then things kind of froze up. So a lot of spin outs last night. Our DOT is super shorthanded because of staffing issues, and so it's kind of tough. There is an escape out of going out of the east. We have a county road that our county roads department has been excellent, and they've been got that road plowed. And I was on it yesterday because I had to go up to the wind farm, and so it was nice to see that road open. But our state is kind of a little lagging. So, and I-82 is still open. So over the Manastash Ridge, which is right behind me here, and so we still have an escape out of the county, but Upper County is they're in more snow. They've had more snow than we had last night. There was a couple of building collapse calls that came through, and I think there's been a couple of buildings that have pancaked because of the weight of the snow, and I understood one volunteer firefighter with our neighboring fire district, his house has 6 feet of snow on top of it, and so it's like, whew. it's been a doozy here.
Yeah.
And, oh, by the way, it's all heading east now, so
yeah, great.
Have fun with it, everyone.
We were talking about. He said you might get some of this, and I was like, oh no, because it depends where we are. We get. It depends. We're right in the kind of in the middle here, and so if something comes up from the south or the north pushes it away, we're in a tricky, and we're near the river, so the river pulls the water will pull this sort of these fronts in different directions. So I don't know. I wouldn't mind it. I was telling my mom yesterday, I would prefer dealing with not maybe 2 foot of snow like you were dealing with, but I'd rather deal with snow and some accumulation of snow, being an East Coast kid, knowing that how that works, than just like minus degree temperatures, 5, where you step out and your face is just, I'd rather, yeah. And
all the snot freezes on your face.
yeah, I don't,
it's just...
I like to walk, I try to do some walking every day and get my miles in. And I went out, just to get the mailbox, which isn't really close to my house. I do have to walk a piece, but I'm halfway down the driveway and it's like, and you can feel whatever moisture's in the air crackling on your face. And I'm like, damn, this is like that super cold to me is less desirable than a bit of snow. But I'm with you all. I mean, just give me a true winter and a real true spring when it's time to plant and get into the ground, because I'll deal with whatever. Let's see. We've got some temperatures coming in, Steve, and we've got our chat on the screen. So if you are listening to this back, you're welcome to join us on Saturdays where we'll get together 9 o'clock Central Time, stream it out very laid back. This is a community-based live stream. That means it is for our community, the community as a whole, but specifically those who know about this community, 100 Watts and Wire community. So you can snot sickles, as Kelvin calls them. Lovely. Yes. But we got some temperatures coming in. Uncle Paul says 26 here in Toms River, New Jersey this morning, Saturday morning. Just one tick below us here. Don Z says, I got 19 degrees at my QTH.
Ooh, you're in a heat wave, buddy.
Yeah, he is. He's going to go outside today. Jeffrey, 18 in Pittsburgh, 7 when I woke up. Good, at least you're heading up there a little bit. Ricardo, you some, look at us.
Oh, wow.
Paradise,
nice, buddy.
73 degrees, 73.5 degrees, light winds, and sunny in Central Florida.
He probably has the winter parka out.
He's like, KV4OP, bye. And yeah, his hair flies back as he's running to the beach.
Fabio.
Or whatever. I will iron out the restream glitches that we may be having today. I'm just glad that we were able to get some of this stuff propagated. And thanks to Brett for bringing it up, because I know other people use it. Josh at Ham Radio Crash Course has been doing this for a long time. And now that we're kind of newish to the video aspect and sending it out as a podcast, we're exploring these things together. Great Lakes Reliance, 24 degrees here in southeastern Michigan. There you go. Todd, November 3, Papa, Kilo Juliet, 21 degrees and maybe 2 inches of snow, is it? Okay.
Nice.
That's not bad. All right, somebody's hosted, someone on Facebook is actually watching. Wow, thank you, Zucky. Thank you, Zaki. I'm going to light the candle back up in your honor tonight for putting us on. I don't know what I did, but something. It was my fault, I'm sure. They're going to do, let's see, as 100 watt ID. We should talk about those too, because there's benefits to being a 100 watt ID holder. We'll talk about that in a minute. He's 2564. He's willing to host a gathering of the willing at the top of the hour. It is past the top of the hour. Let's identify our stations. This is Kilo Zero Sierra Tango Hotel. For ID, that pisses people off. For ID.
For ID.
Nuts. For ID.
That's funny. That just cracks me up. But yep, W7UDI. So
all right, it's time for you to identify your station.
Your station.
And while you do that, I'll scroll through and see if we have any more temperatures. I'm in Maryland, near, not quite in Baltimore, but 28 degrees in that part of Maryland. There, seeing that from Mark. Mark is actually testing. He's one of the testers of 30 days. 30 days is going to be this coming week. We're going to get into that. I'll talk about that in a second. 38 degrees west reports in southwest Missouri. Bit warmer. Southwest of
wave.
here. Yeah, it is. AE0OC. And, okay, that looks to be those. Well, we are going to launch 30 days, and it's been logistically interesting. I'm trying to figure out the pattern of how things are working. So if you basically have a 100-watt ID, let me go over here to the website. I think I can show this now. Oops, I'm going to take that off of the screen so y'all can see that. You go in the 30 days tab of 100 watts in a wire, and you'll find out all about this. But basically, it's important for 100 watts in a wire to create a way to review products that are ham radio related or ham adjacent. There are many products, and I'm interested in hearing what you guys would like to see reviewed. Now, don't say a giant step IR, because all this money is coming out of pocket. And let me tell you about that. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But it's real money. These aren't things that are being gifted from people asking for reviews. This is us purchasing product and sending it out to be reviewed by our community here. But you need a 100-watt ID to participate. There's a link on our website for you to get that. It's very simple. All of this stuff is free. It doesn't cost you anything. There are benefits to you becoming a member, to having a 100-watt ID. These sorts of things do come with some benefits. If you're a subscriber to the podcast, you hear things first because, and 100-watt ID holders are part of the mailing list. So you hear about things before it hits YouTube. Being a podcast, and I'll bring it back up to me and Steve here just for I talk about this. Being a podcast really first and then sending it out to these other places means that people who are subscribed to the podcast hear about it earlier. I get around probably the next day or so to posting things up on YouTube. You eventually get the full video episode up on YouTube, but it's later. 100-watt ID holders are getting this information through the email list. They hear about things. So if there's things to do, things to jump on quickly, subscribe to the podcast, get your 100-watt ID, join the community, you get your own ID, you hear about things earlier, is the point of all of that. So having an ID will get you in the game here for 30 days. This isn't a contest or anything like that. We're doing honest reviews, an honest review system, and I've been talking about it for a few weeks now, and we'll let Steve talk about reviews in just a minute. Get your ID, and what you do is you become put into this pool. You agree basically that you will participate, you will receive a product, you will test it for 30 days, and then you'll come on the show and tell us what happened. How did it perform for you? We have a set of criteria that may help people spend their money wisely, okay? I don't want to be the person that says, oh, yep, got this free product here. It's so good, so sexy. Yeah, oh, yeah. Almost made a baby with it. This is kind of how people are when they get free stuff. I don't want to be that guy, and I think they can be skewed, and it's easier to tell people what to do with their money when it's not their money. Be that as it may, I take 3 or 4 people, send the product out to them, and then review it for 30 days. Have you come back on? We talk about it. That becomes a small, at least more than one person giving you some feedback on what was good, what was bad, what could be improved. This is the honest dope.
Exactly.
That's what that is. And so we can talk about that. I'll leave you to that, Steve. But I have to tell you, there's a lot of things in ham radio that require, what do you think? So we just saw that with Don, who came in and asked us the question, what do you think I should do? And with 100 watts in a wire, we've always been like, let's explore the options, and then you kind of have to match it up. There's no one antenna that's going to be the end all for you, and they perform differently in different places. And
exactly,
you can't. There's no
work. Yeah, and what works for me might not work for you, and what works for you will definitely not work for me. So, I mean, there's so many variables, and and that's it. It just it comes down to, we can give you opinions and what we think, but and a lot of times, and this review is perfect because I might, if I would review a product, I'm going to review it from more of maybe a technical side of it, or if I run into a small problem, I'll just adapt, overcome, move on. And for me, it might not be a big deal, but for you, it could be a game breaker. And that's what we want to hear. And so our demographics in the hobby has changed over the years. It used to be, the hobby used to be really, really technical, a lot of technical people, but now it's changed and we're getting a bigger variety of folks, which is great. And everyone has their specialties or their skill sets, and some don't have this technical skill sets, which it's not bad. Don't get me wrong, but it's we want to know if our product is easy to use or if the instructions are good or bad. One thing I've noticed over the years, technical writing has gotten to be really terrible, and instructions make assumptions that you know this or that, and then people go out, hey, I got this, and they go into, and I'm gonna QRZ bash here. You go over to a forum like on QRZ and say, hey, I got this, or I run into this problem. And the first thing someone does, they look you up, you got an extra class license. Well, hell, you're an extra class. You should know that. And it's like, really? Come on. Mm-hmm. The guy's asking the question. Why can't you just answer the damn question and help a fellow brother out? But no, we got to bash them. So, sorry, getting on a rant here.
No, do it.
So that's why we want the honest review, because you don't want the review from me on a product because, oh yeah, this is good. I ran into this problem or, overcame it. No, I want to hear it from you. You don't want to hear it from me. And give us your honest opinion. If you have problems with it, tell us. And, or if it's easy to set up, easy to use, tell us what it's all about. This is why we want the review. Yeah. If someone says we're going to become the Consumer Report of amateur radio or something, great, perfect. But,
I'd rather them decide based on 3 or 4 other people than just one person who got the antenna for free, who will keep the antenna. The other side of this is that if you participate, get your 100 watt ID. Let me go back over to the page here because there's a couple things I want to show you there. Oh dear, you get off of there. You get off my screen, you jerk. Okay. There's a cool matching program too I'll talk about, but you can, there's a couple forms here that you want to pay attention to. The one is to get your ID. Easy, do it free. You'll get it within a couple days. It's emailed to you, all good. There's also a matching program for Yaesu people right now. This is very good. If you have a LDG tuner and a Yaesu radio, they're paired together, and you send a photograph, right? There's another on your screen there. You'll see, click here, where you can submit it. Submit the picture. It's worth $5 back to the show. Now, the money will never come back to the show. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the money and buy more products so we can do some more reviews with it. But LDG Electronics has decided they are going to give $5 per photo for the first 100 photos, and we're closing in on that. And the people who will give that's 500 ducats, $500. That's another month of reviews for the show. And my word to you is that money will go back directly into buying the product for review. The folks who review it get to keep that stuff. You get to keep it. I'm not asking for it back. I don't even touch it. We're gonna buy it. We're gonna send it out to you. You're going to come talk about it. That's part of the deal. Is I need you to come talk about it and do the review. But this matching program is really cool. It's very generous for our friends at LDG Electronics. $5 a photograph with your LDG tuner paired with your Yaesu radio. Now, maybe we'll do this with something else, but the offer came in. I'm like, $5. You can get a picture of my left cheek if that's what you want. I'm going to get a whole pocket full of those too. But so that's a really cool matching program there. And then if you scroll down 30 days on the website, you just fill out this information. You're saying, see, Chow, where's this info go? It just comes back to me. I need to know where we're going to send this stuff to. And then we can set up you being on the show. And so that's how that works. And I know we've been going at it for a little while today. I don't want to keep everybody I got something switched in my scenes here. They got a little turned around. I wanted to show that this to you guys, though. Let me go over here. The first product we're going to talk about in January is this one, Steve. I don't know if you've seen this. I think you have heard about it. This company's been around for 30 years. Mm-hmm. You know, it costs $85. I got to say, let me get back here. Got to say thanks to the sponsors, thanks to members, thanks to people who buy me a cup of coffee. Even the small things, the small money, go back into the development, creation, and distribution of the show. And in this regard, it's creating this program so we can review some stuff here. So you're going to see a price tag here on this antenna. 4 of these were purchased. They were sent out to members of our community to review. That's 85 ducats right there. This is why you see this matching program from LDG is very generous. It can help curb that. This company here, I don't even know how to say it.
Isotron.
But the company up there is, I guess, who makes them. But the Isotron is what they're calling that antenna, right? And so I don't know.
Bio. Oh, okay.
Bio company. Okay, good, fair enough. The least I know about you, probably the better. I think that's great. Like, I don't know anything about it, but this is the antenna. It's a 20-meter Isotron antenna. We don't know now if this is snake oil or if this is something that would be absolutely perfect for an HOA up in an attic. I don't know. But this is the antenna, the first antenna. The other one that we're going to do, and we're staying around this price point because that's comfortable for me right now with what membership and sponsorships are bringing in. The other product is this one. We're familiar with radio waves. I can't say I had a DX40. I feel like I may have had a DX80 in my life. I don't know. Again, price point here on this one. Let's see. Oh, there it is. It's $80, $79.95. So there you are, friends. We're going to take this one. This will be our second review. We're going to do 2 a month. There is some logistics in this that can be complicated. And it's getting people together on their life to get the 30 days, to get the product out to them. So I'm working hard on that front to kind of do it. But that's the antenna. And what happens is this is sort of a lottery. This is what we're doing. So all the names will come back into the pool. And I'm going to say it's time for us to pick the people. Names get picked. I send you out a message, so you got to keep me out of that spam folder. And you come back to me like, yep, I'm in, I can do that. Or, nope, that's an antenna. I'm in Minnesota. It's cold. I'm going to have to pass. You just go right back in.
Please be honest about that. I mean, it's if you can't do it, thank you for, willing to do it. But, stuff happens, and if you can't do it at that moment, we'll appreciate it, and we'll throw you back into the list and on the next product.
Jay is responding. He's got the LDG YT100 and an FT100D, and I'd like to talk about it. It might not be now. We're creeping up on an hour and a half. See how much fun this is today, just talking about radio. But if you've got an image like that, $5 comes back into this program, and it's real money going out, guys. This is not radio waves dropping the antenna and saying, please, can you have people do that? They may do that one day when they start to hear these honest reviews are coming back, and it's either good or bad or it's whatever. But for now, we're going to pay out of pocket to get that honest review. That way we can say anything we want. It's not about, I was given this, and I'm just going to feel like I probably owe them something to say nice. Mm-hmm. Nah, when you buy it, if it's great, it's great. If it's not great, how can we make it better? How could maybe they'll grow and benefit from this feedback too, is my hope. But there you go. So if you have a Yaesu and an LDG, one quick and easy way is you're going to get a cable. It's some interface cable there I know nothing about, but it's free. You get in a drawing. Let me go back to that page because let me see what we're running there. Let me get back up here. Yaesu owners will know a little bit more about this. There's a YACC2 or a YACC3 interface cable. They're going to get that for free. This is up to the first 100 people, so you need to act quickly on this one because I think we're getting close to it. And all the DX100 entries will be put into a drawing for a free LDG MC101 analog meter or for the FTDX101 or an equal product. So they're actually putting some skin in the game for you. And Steve, that's kind of like your thing, right? You got one of those. Mm-hmm. Isn't that meter you want, right? I got that meter.
Yeah, it's the meter I'm gonna purchase. So it's and that's a $180 meter. So so it's a nice little product that LDG is going to give out.
Let me see. I think I'm talking about the right thing.
There we go.
You didn't see my
penis.
Gave us
a butt shot.
Did I? Oh, you see my butt? Is that okay? All right, that's good. I think this is the meter, the one you'd be in. This I call it the sexy meter. I don't have my radio cooking right now, but it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Here's my shack. My radio fell asleep. That's why you're not gonna see it.
Oh, mine are still on. So.
All right, good. Let's check the testicular fortitude of our bowels and everything else that needs to be released here. Is everybody doing okay? Everybody good? We're still hanging out. I'm glad you guys came by. It's nice, sort of the first. Right. I got Ben's this. It's all going in. Yeah, I don't always do that. I get a kick out of the commercial about the guy on the laptop who's got it pointed down, and they're like, "We can see all your thighs." He's business up top and party on the bottom. That's your 30 days. Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, nobody needs to see that. Although Dirk Diggler is my Facebook. Yeah, look up Dirk Diggler and the prosthetic junk that he had. Yep, glad you're wearing pants. Thank you. Radio Waves did send me a similar. I may have missed some of this. Works great, but the ends got corroded in 30 days. Wow. Wires needed to be retrimmed. See, this is the kind of thing we're talking about here. Because $85, man, $85 is $85, and you're thinking, well, I got $85. Well, when you put it out there and something happens, this is why it's important for your peers to tell you that. That way, I'm not puppeteering them or I'm not being influenced. It's just that's what it is. So I hope you guys will participate in that. Get your 100-watt IDs. I can show you that. We can go to the website there. Let's go over to
your hands.
Let's go to 100-watt ID. Yeah, I just tried to show you my meter. Meter is now code for my left one. Thanks, Uncle Paul.
Yeah.
Let's go here. We'll go over to the 100 watts in a water webpage. And getting your ID is very easy. It's very simple here. We exchange those during our nets on Sunday evenings, 7 o'clock Central Time. It kicks off. You can hear Sidecar Steve, of course, in the evening. You hear Paul working 40 meters. Sometimes you'll hear Don and Pastor Joe working on 80 meters. And I'm always lurking. It's usually bath time for the kids and tucking them in, so I'm in and out and back in the shack. But a way to remember your ID is there. How do you find yourself there? Very simple to get a 100-watt ID, and it gets you in the 30-day game. And you can see here all of our friends. We are over 5,000 100-watt IDs have been issued. Your name may be in there, and it will certainly be in there. It is crazy since we started. This program was in 2016. And all those names. Now, we have some silent keys here. I work with Ian in Chicago. He manages this part of our community. And we do have some silent keys. We've probably had, I think it's 25 to 30 and that have left us. But let me look at that. We're still scrolling. This is all the same. And here we're at 4,000.
And another thing, as you're scrolling, if you do a call sign change, just drop us a note, and let Ian get in there, and he can update the list with your new call sign. So,
yep, it usually takes just a few days. You usually will get it back. You got to watch your spam folders on things like this because we end up in there, and we're still going here as It's just our friends. This is our community right here. All these members here also become part of the mailing list. So like I mentioned before, you're going to get information before it gets out there, say on Facebook, or it gets out there on social media. You got to subscribe to the podcast. We're still going. And this isn't updated every day, but I know that for a fact we're up at around 5,000, over 5,000 have been. I don't want to bore you, but you may see your name. Hey, there's Todd, 4,700 there. Todd, don't see him today. But friends that we know. Underneath that, Brian, he's in Arizona. He's the pilot with W7JET, just stopping there in a random spot, recognizing our friends that have been a support. This is why we're able to do some of the things that we're able to do here with the money, with the help of your support. These aren't paid people who have paid to be in there. Some of them are. Some of them are, I guess, what you'd call anonymous, whatever, donors or supporters. They don't want to be mentioned or whatever. They just give to you, and that's good. You can buy me a cup of coffee, and that's a little thing, but it all goes back toward propagating ham radio, and I think that's kind of what's missing. There's a lot of people out talking about it, and they talk about themselves, and they talk about each other, and I don't know what it was. Sometime in the fall last year is just, propagating and giving it back out to the people. We were able to find out what people need. Some people just need a little bit of guidance. Other people just need a couple little things to get them on the air. And whether it's advice or whatever, we're just trying to propagate. We're no saints. I just showed you my ass. Now, if you want to see my meter.
No.
Oh, Lord help us. A lot of problems.
Let's just say we did.
Yeah, you've seen it. You've seen one. You've seen them all. That's what my mother used to say. I'm like, Mom, that's totally gross and untrue. Sidney Poitier died.
Yes.
He was yesterday, 94 years old. Another great actor from his generation. A handsome man, 94 years old. And today, David Bowie would have been 75 years old. 75 degrees may have been his actual temperature, too. It's a little low for a human, but I think he's colder than that now. But that's not right. What's wrong with me? I got a lot of problems.
Well, we can talk about that later.
That's a whole different live stream. That'll be coming up at noon today. Well, I guess we'll just we'll call it a morning here. I thank you guys. What else do we need to talk about? What did we miss? I'm good.
I think we got it good for now. We're just kind of getting back into the swing of things, and kind of had the little break. Happy New Year to everybody. We're glad you stopped by and join us for the fun and the frivolity. And join us on the Discord group and the Facebook group, and we'll look forward to catching you on the air.
Be on the air tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. You will be hearing this. The podcast will come out, but know that Sundays at 7 o'clock Central Time, we kick it off, usually 40 meters with Paul, and then he hands it off. He calls it the handshake to Steve. Steve takes it and runs it out from the west. And we want to, this will be a little mission for our net controllers, is we got to tap into Phil. We got to check in with Phil. He gave us Phil is an 82 or 83-year-old ham. He's a veteran of our military. He's the sweetest guy you'd hear. He loves to talk to Steve about apples. He's also Polish. He invites me to Easter services and dinners and all this sort of stuff. And he had some issues during the beginning parts of, the health issue that's going around. We must say it. I think they'll put us in a strange category as these algorithms read us. His antenna was down. Steve and I were literally preparing to fly out there to help him fix his antenna. Good news is he had a neighbor who's across the street, is a firefighter, and he had a ladder. He came and he helped him out and he got it back up. But even as his antenna lay half on the ground, he'd be 10 over, these near the ocean, all this sort of stuff. But point being, he's a sweet man, and right before the Christmas break, he said something about going away for a couple of weeks and handling some family business, and I haven't heard him on the net in a couple of weeks. And when we do call for him, you may hear an net control operator call for him specifically to make room for him. Not that he couldn't bust the pile-ups. I mean, the dude's got a great signal. But we'd usually pause and just to hear him talk and make that contact. And it's been a couple weeks, so it's like, yeah, we need to call for him this week. So we'll put that on our list to make sure that we leave some space because we can get into some pile-ups on Sunday nights. And everybody is very patient when we finally connect. And then they kind of pass him around to me and to you. I send him back out, and he's just the sweetest man. And as we've seen here, we see it more with our celebrity groups. People pass, you know what I mean? And hopefully he'll go and run for a long time. But when we don't hear from him, we
get a little nervous.
Yeah, because he's just a sweet guy, and he's somehow befriended us in the last couple of years and just super nice. And I think he's got great stories. Like if we really, it's not always the best time for it during the net, but his military career, you know, I mean, that's all you have to really dig into him and start to learn what he's done. And I think it goes into the nuclear stuff, and he's got like a really rich military background. So just interesting characters join us on Sunday is the point. And you're welcome to join us there too. And if I can, I'll get a live stream like this going. We can kind of watch and join together as a community. Steve and I, Steve's really been an advocate for our technician class licenses to give them more opportunities. So maybe we can help connect people, get them on the radio. We can connect through our social media, this sort of aspect. Mm-hmm. We can keep things going. Not Papa Phil, Rosa. Papa Phil was another story who needed a kidney transplant. And,
which he got, yeah.
He got it. He did not get it from the ham radio community, but we did help him. We did a special event. We tried to raise awareness for his situation, hoping that there'd be a living donor for Papa Phil. That's a different Phil, and he sent me a card soon after his operation. He found a donor and just thanked the community for doing what we could do, although it did not come from the ham community. Yes, Whiskey 1, Papa, Echo, Papa. That's the film I'm talking about in the great Northeast, yeah. So anyway.
So, and thanks for everyone that's, on the, trying to check into the nets. I hear when Paul is running and people are calling and trying to get in, I hear a lot of folks, and I start kind of jotting down call signs that I hear. And then by the time it gets to me, if the band's changed or you've you went off and did something else because life, came along and you have to go do something else. But I hear a lot of people that are calling for Paul, and it's much appreciated. And so if we don't work you on a Sunday, really you're being heard. And there's times, it can get frustrating. The band conditions can get a little wonky on 40. But we appreciate you all being out there and trying to get in, and we try our best to, pull everybody out. I'm loving the amount of QRP stations that are getting on the air. It's just incredible. It's guys running their 705s, the Zygoos. It's just or just turning their radios down to 5 to 10 watts. It's been just great. The mobile stations, that's been fantastic. So if Paul doesn't hear you, there's sometimes a good chance I will hear you, and that you're being heard. And I don't know, maybe I should create a list, and then I don't know if we just publish it somewhere and just say, yeah, you were heard, and go from there. But I know from my end over here, I hear a lot of people and trying to call Paul. So you're being heard. So
note from Chicago, Kilo India 9 Whiskey, the manager of the neighborhood, the part of the neighborhood in our community that handles the 100-watt IDs, says he periodically runs a script to check for call sign changes. People do send them in. I forward them on. Remember, it's a busy human that works these things too. And I know right around when we do our operating events, people they want that stuff. And a lot of people are now getting their 100-watt IDs to participate for 30 days. That's sort of the rule there. No real rules, but I prefer you being that way. That way it's a community-based sort of thing. So thank you to Kilo India 9 whiskey for running that. Busy humans
Thanks.
take care of everything that's going on here, but it's all free to you. And I told a buster earlier in the week, get your money back at the door. He gave me a really snarky, like, I tried it. You were talking about Christmas and New Year's. I'm gone. Bye. I was like, bye. Bye. Okay. You didn't pay for it. Get your money back at the door. Just, don't announce your departure. What do they say? Something like that. You don't need to announce your departure. Goodbye. But everything is free here. And I think you'll find it a welcoming community. Although small, I think we're pretty tight, and we're trying to expand to get to where you are. So if you only do Discord, we're there. I'll iron out some of the kinks that we saw today with the chat and your avatars, or Facebook, that delay getting started on Facebook today. Whatever that was, I want to get out to where the people are. We're not a YouTube channel, although we have YouTube capabilities. We're streaming to YouTube and other platforms. That's not our bread and butter. Or podcast, and I know people enjoy seeing the video. So, one, subscribe to the podcast. That would be great. You get information first. 100-watt ID members are getting information first because they're part of the mailing list in that community. And so you hear everything first through the podcast. Things like this is live, which is really cool. So you're going to hear things here. So listeners to the podcast, join us if you can. If not, listen back, and hopefully it'll be just nutty enough for you to listen along as a podcast subscriber. I'll say my 73s here. I'll throw it to Steve for his final, and we'll let you get on with it.
Thanks, everyone, for joining us today. It's good to see everyone in the chat room, and appreciate you taking time out of your day to view us here. And we'll look forward to chatting with you on the air, and hopefully see you next week. So 7-3, everyone.
7-3. Yeah, Mark did real quick. Mark sent there's a class coming up through the Electronics Museum to get your extra. It would take me a minute to find it, but if you're on Discord or Facebook, they were posted in both of those places, and it looks legit. It looks like it's sponsored by a museum. It's several weeks of courses that you can take to get your extra.
It's like 6 weeks, and it's like 1 day a week or something. Yeah. It's so yeah. If you if striving to get your extra, now's the time. And here, I'll give you a little incentive. That I don't know when it's going to go into effect, but they want to start charging fees for our license right now. Getting your ticket is free, and so the FCC has been mandated by Congress to recoup funds, and so if you have any desire to upgrade, now's the time. $35 goes towards an antenna or some equipment. I know our budgets are pretty limited when it comes to the hobby, so any place where we can save a buck or two here, and then once you get your extra, you're done.
We'll call it. We'll send it over to the Coax fund. Put it in the Coax fund. And I'd rather buy the Coax than pay the government my $35, but I understand.
Exactly. So, I mean, that might be an incentive. Some people don't, it's not a big deal, but to others, that's probably a big factor. But I'm always, get your extra, then you can operate all the bands. If you don't, that's great, but at least you got the extra class license. Sure. You don't have to worry about any more upgrades. You're done. So consider it, and give those guys the support. If there's a good turnout, I would imagine they would probably do it again and provide that service. I know there's a lot of classes for technician and some for general, but you don't see very many for extra. So Here's an opportunity to take advantage of something like that.
All right, brothers and sisters, take care of yourselves. Look out for each other. And by all means, if you can, please try and stay above the noise. We'll see you back here next Saturday, 9 o'clock. If you liked it, want to do something a little different, like change things up a little bit, let us know. It's a laid-back approach. This is the intersection of life and amateur radio, so things that happen in our lives are part of us. We are the common ground in the radio side. So it's ham radio related because you're a ham, and we can talk about all these other things in life here in the live stream. So I'll pop that up there for you. There we are. Take care of yourselves. Thank you, Steve, for joining us today. Thanks to everybody who came by on Discord, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. We're spreading it around. We're spreading our seeds around. It sounds so nasty. You're so nasty. You're all nasty. 7-3, guys.
7-3, everyone.